Oh, God. Oh, man. Okay, you ready?
No.
Yeah, me either. All right, welcome back to the channel. Today, clearly, we are doing all things brakes. So, currently on this car, we've already upgraded some things. We're running 4 piston Brembos in the front with GT500, no, 13-inch rotors. In the rear, we've got a full GT500 setup with the larger rotors and just the same calipers this car came with, just brand new ones. And then we are currently running HP Plus pads in the front from Hawk, and we were running HP Plus pads in the rear. So I say were because we did event 1 this year. We are getting some pretty severe rear brake lockup, which was causing the car to oversteer pretty severely. So
yeah, just the rear end would come around on you when you hit the brakes.
Yeah,
not good.
Yeah, they were locking up well before the fronts were engaging, so made the car nearly impossible to drive. So what we've done already is we've gone to literally the cheapest pad I could find it in O'Reilly's, and that resolved that problem. The car is no longer doing that. We just had a mid-div event here this past weekend that had 2 full days of autocross. The car felt much better. But while we're already doing that, we figured we would just go ahead and keep improving the brakes a little bit more.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is start up front. We're not going to touch the master cylinder at this time, but we are going to do a new brake booster. And this is a GT500 brake booster, which is supposed to help with pedal feel. I don't know. I do know that I've heard lots of people complain about the S197 pedal feel, and we also are not a fan of it. You go to push it and you're really smashing on it to get anything. So you don't feel a bite, you don't feel that immediate grip. So this whole thing is kind of an experiment. We've also, beyond the GT500 brake booster, we're going to 15 to current year bullet 6-piston Brembo brakes. They're the same caliper as the GT Performance Pack calipers, but they're painted bright red for the bullet car. So that's what we wanted because we didn't want the it's like a dark gray caliper on the GT PP. And then to get this to work on an S197 chassis, you have to combine this caliper with a 13 to 14 GT500 rotor, which is 15 inches. So way bigger. Right now we're on 13 inches, which is already bigger than stock. But now we're going to 15 inches, and we got a slotted version here. And then we're going to go away from the HP Pluses, which we've not had a problem with. They've been fine.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
But we are going to the G-Lock R6 pad, which is specifically designed for autocross. So is the HP Plus. But this is supposed to have really, really good initial bite at low temps, which is what we're doing at autocross. We're not on the track. Well, we sometimes do, but for the most part, it's an autocross car. So we're going to go with the best pad we can find. We also could not get HP Plus or Hawk pads anywhere.
Yeah, they were sold out almost everywhere.
Yeah, so this is what we're going with. These are not bad. We've been recommended by a lot of people for these, and we got these off Forschlag. We got the rotors and the calipers off LMR. Calipers came with a pad hardware set. Got the brake booster from American Muscle.
We also already swapped out our lines with lines that Forschlag custom makes, and that's in a previous video. We'll link all this below along with the other videos we've done about brakes in general, but hopefully fairly straightforward. Like Dan said, this is kind of experimental. It may or may not work. We're kind of hoping it does. We'll obviously take the car out after we do this to test pedal feel and braking power and things like that. And if for some reason it feels awful, I mean, the worst thing we can do is just, I guess the best we can do is just revert back to what we had.
Which is already a 4-piston Brembo. Great setup. We can probably do just as good as or better than we currently are on that current setup, but this looks awesome. So we're gonna make this work. We did hear from another local autocross guy who ran an S197. He tried this combo and he said he hated it and immediately swapped back to his 4 pistons. I don't know what happened to him, and I hope it doesn't happen to us. We're also gonna go ahead and replace that brake booster, like I said, so maybe that was the missing link for him. But we're gonna find out, and we'll report back to you guys. And we'll be honest, if this doesn't work for us, we'll let you know. You can save some money. But maybe if you're just building a street car, this would be amazing just on street car, just the look of it. Curb appeal will be great. So we really want to make this work for us, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, so we'll get started and see you guys soon.
I get this perspective is going to be very confusing, but I'm upside down underneath the dash. This U-shaped thing here that I'm pointing the hole at had a clevis pin in it with a retaining pin holding it in place, and then just like a yellow plastic protective cover. So the protective cover is easy to take off, then just slide the retaining pin out, and then that clevis pin will slide just out of those holes. I wonder if I can get this around. There's the other side of the hole. You can kind of see it. So now you'll see that the brake pedal now moves freely from. I sound terrible. God. Yeah. It moves freely now. So now I just gotta guess what size those nuts are. We'll take out those 4 of those nuts you'll see, and then the brake booster should be able to just come out, I think. Right, Dan?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna do that now, and then I'll update you here in a second.
This is how you make movies.
Showbiz, baby. Oh, that's showbiz. All right. Long time no see. I have no idea how long it's been since we stopped recording this
Literally
video.
milliseconds for the viewer.
Yeah, it has been literally no time for you. It has been a lot of time for us. I don't know where we left off on this project or where we're going, but we had to stop last time because we needed to order a new master cylinder. We couldn't get the old brake booster off without taking all of it off, and we figured if we have to take the master cylinder off, might as well replace it. Took us forever to get the part. We actually didn't think we had it tonight, and I was using the box it was in as a stand. So now it's here, we have it, but before I can take the old one off, I have to drain all of this brand new, very nice brake fluid we just put in. I don't think it's salvageable, we'll see. So I'm gonna drain that out now, and then we need to bench bleed this bad boy, and Dan will go over that in a second on the process for that. And then once this is bench bled, hopefully we can get cranking and get this thing put back together and ready for Sunday. So stay tuned. Okay, so we got most of the fluid drained. Now Dan's just slowly but surely getting off the entire unit. We put a bag underneath it just to catch any residual fluid that's most likely going to come out. Okay, forgot to record the last half of that, but Dan just got, the old master cylinder and fluid reservoir out. So you can see that now that's out of the way. We have easy access to the brake booster. For those who don't know, it's this massive black thing right here. So
I swear it comes out some way. There we go.
all right, one old brake booster. Okay, now that this is all off, Dan's just disconnecting the old master cylinder from the reservoir. Yeah.
It's got this retaining pin in there, and then this should slip off. Should slip off. Yeah.
How's she look?
This is okay. Still got some goop in it, some oil, fluid. We just need to get these out and reuse these. They look okay.
What are these?
So these are they're like bushings that go over these barbed fittings, rubber bushings. And it kind of keeps, because this is solid mounted, and then your reservoir, if it didn't have some kind of bushing in between, it would vibrate and break the barbs off, and then it would leak. So this kind of just like dampens the vibrations from here.
Oh, okay.
And then it helps hold the reservoir in place. So those barbs go into those bushings.
Okay.
So we need these to go into the new master cylinder. Interesting. So the new master cylinder, unless I've lost it already, in this front one has like a plate in it with a slot in it, not the back one. This one does not have that, unless it's fallen out, but I don't see it. We'll go over there and show you what it is. We'll also need to get these hose ends or adapters out of these ports and into the new reservoir, or sorry, new master cylinder. But this can go in the trash now.
Nice.
Okay, I got these rubber grommets, bushings, whatever you want to call them, into the new master cylinder. And I also, this is pretty grody. We really probably should have got a new one, but it's the way we work around here. So I sprayed this as much brake clean as I can get in here. Let it soak a little bit, wiggle it around, dumped it out, and then I blew air in there as well. It is better. It's not perfect, but that's how we roll.
Yep.
I'm gonna smash this on here. That's in there. Gotta re-straighten this. So you want this, per the instructions, you want this thing as level as you can get it while you're bleeding it. Okay, so per the instructions, we're gonna bench bleed this master cylinder. They gave us some clear tubing and some fittings to stick into the ports. It says to fill up the reservoir at about 3/4 of the way full, and then I just realized I put this on the vise backwards because I can't really get to this side to push in with a screwdriver to actuate the arm on the cylinder. It says multiple times until you stop seeing bubbles in the reservoir. We're never going to see bubbles in the reservoir, so we'll do it and try and keep our eye on the top of the fluid level here. You just don't want these to come out of the fluid while you're bleeding, or you're going to get more air in the system. So I'm going to turn this around and then we'll come back at you. Can you see the fluid line?
Nope. Flashlight.
Oh, it's at the bottom there. Okay. Oh.
Wow. We had first row seating for that. Okay, now you're draining out of this.
Yes.
So I don't think this is how it's supposed to go. Oh!
We're just losing our brand new fluid. Wish we would have kept the old fluid now.
Yeah. So you can see with his forearm, he's somehow compressing.
This is not working at all. It's just going right around these. This is not working. We've been supplied some faulty equipment here.
Oh, man.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
Part of it was our fault. We filled up past that barb and it just started spewing out. But the barb, or the fittings that they provided to bleed this did not work. So we did the best we could to bleed it. I don't know that it's done right. We put caps in it just to try and save what's left in the reservoir. It's not going to do anything. It's clearly just dripping like crazy. But we did put plugs in the ports and then tried to push on the reservoir, and there is firm pressure on that. And according to the instructions, that's the way it's supposed to feel. I mean, I know it's supposed to be firm. I'm just saying the fact that it is firm means perhaps we did get the air out of it. We'll put everything back together and attempt to bleed it at that point, and then see where we're at. Not confidence inspiring for this moment in more smart in history. All right, we're about to throw in our new brake booster. We bought a, shit, what years?
That's a great question, Dan. I think it's still in, please hold. Yeah, okay, we looked it up. GT500 05 to 09.
And or the S197 Boss 302 Mustang came with this brake booster.
Yes.
It is supposedly supposed to have a different throw ratio or diaphragm. I don't know the science behind it, but it's supposed to reduce pedal pressure.
By up to 30%?
30%, yeah.
No one knows.
I don't know, man. This one looks old and rusty, and this paint is flaking off from what we assume is a leaking master. So it's gone, and this one's going in. There's a at this moment, I would say 45% chance we're going to hate this setup. And we might be undoing everything. Hopefully this doesn't come back out. The master cylinder is going to stay. We just are worried that those 6-piston fees are going to be overkill for us. We have an inside source who said he's tried them. And
on an S197.
Tried them on an S197
yeah.
and then went back. So we're optimistic.
We'll see.
Does it sound like I'm optimistic?
Not quite.
Okay.
This is not fair. Oh, God.
Hey, turn off the light. You're ruining the shot.
Wow. Oh, I hate it. Bear with me. I don't have much room. That gray thing right there, that is the brake booster that attaches to said brake pedal. Dan fed it in through the firewall. I am putting these nuts on, tightening it down, and then we've got a clevis that'll go through this hole right there, right in the center of the screen, to officially clamp it to said pedal. And then hopefully I can get out of this hole. So, gonna rate this project a 1 out of 10, would not do again. So, thanks for coming to my Todd Talk.
Okay, I survived. Brake booster is on. Master cylinder is on. Dan tackled that while I was down under.
That's why there's no footage
Yeah.
of anything. Sorry, guys, but we left our tripod. I borrowed the tripod to do like dad birthday recordings,
Yeah.
and I didn't bring it back. So we're doing handy cam style.
Freaking dads.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you'll see. That is the other end of the brake booster that I was working on. Dan attached said new master cylinder that you saw earlier. So now he's just clamping down the old tubes.
I think this is like a feed line for like a clutch master cylinder. I don't know, actually. This is something I don't know about Mustangs. But this is just a barb fitting off the reservoir that goes into the dash. So I'm presuming there's a brake or a clutch master cylinder in there somewhere, but I don't know the answer to that.
No one knows. Hey, if you do know, you can comment below. Let us know. We're not going to take enough time tonight to figure it out.
Yeah, you can piss off.
Yeah. Dan, next steps?
Car goes up, swap calipers, rotors, pads, bleed the brakes, which is going to be kind of a cool process. We've got a
Oh, yeah.
OBD scan tool in the car, and I purchased this program called 4Scan. It's not like it sounds, which will allow us to activate the ABS module to do a power bleed of every brake line. And
Very
we'll start
cool.
at the back, farthest away, activate it probably a couple times to make sure we get a full bleed. We've got like 3.5 bottles of Motul RRB F600 left, and I'm gonna guess we're gonna go through most of that to get this done.
Yeah. Oh, I also forgot about the old G-Lock pads we got. Huge.
And dusty.
And dusty.
Yeah, we're gonna get all kinds of brake dust on these. All right, so we've got the brake booster installed, the master cylinder installed, so now we're going to go into the wheels and we're going to do the fun part on this install. It's simple. You guys have seen us install these on this channel. If you haven't, you can go watch that video. We are going to do this process again. You can watch along. We probably won't go in super detail on how to do this, but it's pretty simple. You pull this caliper off, pull the rotor off, put the new rotor on, swap the brake line from the back of this caliper onto the new caliper, mount the caliper, and then bleed it back to the master. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now.
Okay, we're back. I'm not sure where we left off last night. I'll figure that out in editing. But right now we've run into a bit of a debacle. So we probably should have had the foresight to see this coming, but when we were putting the S550 calipers onto the S197, we didn't realize that the lines weren't gonna match up. After some brainstorming, what we're doing, we found some so to start off, S550 lines won't work on the S197 because they're not long enough. There are companies that make longer lines clearly we don't have those yet because we just ran into this issue. So right now we found an old S197 line that poor Dan is trying to fit. What we're doing, we're heating up will you show the metal end real quick? That end. So we're heating that up with a torch and trying to bend it without breaking it. And hoping that we can get it to fit the housing on the back of the caliper. So far, no success, but it hasn't broken yet, so we're probably gonna keep trying to dick around with it. If this works, we'll run these lines this weekend at the event. Then we'll test out these brakes to see if we actually like them. If we do like them, we'll buy some longer, better lines online, swap those out when we get them, and then save the expensive Vorschlag lines that we have currently installed as a backup if something happens. We just currently don't want to go through torching and bending the expensive Vorschlag lines because they're expensive and I don't want to break them. So we're using the old OEM ones right now. Yeah, this project has been a couple of small road bumps over and over again, but hey, we're getting there. I think hopefully once we figure this out, then we're gonna start the bleeding process and get the car back together. Look at there, boys and girls. One 4-piston caliper out, one 6-piston caliper in with a brake line that's working correctly. So
Don't look closely.
yeah, don't look closely. So I forget if I said this or not. S550 line wouldn't reach, so we took one of the old braided, pardon me. We took one of the old braided lines and bent it to fit. It's on, it's not leaking. So that is one small success in a string of successes that we're gonna need. So Dan is gonna wrap that up, then we're gonna do the other one, and then hopefully start the bleeding process. So I'm skipping a lot of steps here. We've done a lot of brake videos, so if you guys are wanting like a more in-depth video on a brake change, scroll up on our page or scroll down, whichever which way. I'll try to link them in the description, but we've got some more in-depth, longer videos purely about brakes. So watch those and hopefully those will answer any questions. Okay. Passenger front is on, secured. Looks good. We have no idea if it's gonna work. We'll see. How do you feel, Dan?
Tired.
Tired.
Oh, I don't have a watch on. It's late, but I'm excited. I'm optimistic. Don't know what the brake lines are gonna do.
They look good.
They look great.
Yeah. I was just recently telling Dan that I got such a good deal on the old 4-pistons and I'm not even convinced they're real. So, because
They were super heavy.
Yeah, super heavy.
Real heavy. Like, these without pads were lighter than the 4-pistons. With pads, to be fair, so.
I don't know. So we'll see. Driver's side, brake assembly, basically done. You can see new rotors on, new calipers on, pads are in, line is on. Again, we had to bend this line to get it to fit, but it's on and it's currently not leaking fluid. There's fluid in the reservoir, but we have not bled them or applied pressure, so TBD. But we're getting close to bleeding, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I might be bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan just sprayed brake cleaner into his eyes, so.
While wearing safety glasses on the back of my head.
Yeah. So.
Don't tell my mom.
Hey, Dan's mom.
She does watch.
Pro tip, maybe not pro tip, but if you guys ever find yourself in a situation where you're low on high quality brake fluid and don't want to like just keep wasting it, I think we found a method that might help. So basically Dan has rigged a brake fluid bottle with a hose into it that's hanging. So when we bleed, it'll just cycle the fluid from the caliper out of this tube back into the bottle so we can reuse it. So again, this brand new fluid. We just opened those bottles a few minutes ago, but we only have a couple and we've lost a lot through the process of this build. So hopefully it'll work. I think it should. So I don't know, just a tip. Okay, sorry guys. We forgot to record the last bit of this project. as you have seen, there have been a lot of ups and downs to this project, a lot of unforeseen issues. And we have the event tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So we both kind of just got into crank mode and tried to wrap this up. So it's done. But I'll kind of describe the issues we had along the way, which I think you've already seen, and then kind of what we did when the camera was off.
Yeah, so again, we apologize for not how we wanted it to go, but at the end of the day, like, our number one priority is getting to the race tomorrow. So we really had to prioritize that over recording and making content. So we'll do better in moving forward. But what we ended up having to do is I was doing research for this and read online some from random forum posts that, I was just able to unbolt my master and kind of flex it out of the way, and then I could get the brake booster out. And so that's what we had planned to do. So we didn't buy a master cylinder until after the fact, when we realized it wasn't going to work that way. And then we also realized that the master cylinder seals at some point had started to fail, so there was a lot of corrosion and rust and whatnot on the brake booster from master cylinder leaking. So then the master cylinder that we bought was, I think it was a Duralax or something. No, I don't know what it. Anyways,
I'll link it below.
it was not OE, but it should have been OE spec. It came with a bleeding kit because you have to bench bleed master cylinders, and the fittings that you had to use were just sort of tapered, like cones, and then they were just supposed to plug into the ports. And somehow that was supposed to work, and now looking back, that was never going to work. So what we did was we tried to brake bleed that tried to bench bleed that the best we could with what we had yesterday, Friday. I don't know, whatever day it was.
Yeah.
And then slammed it in the car, connected everything up, put everything together on the wheels, and then went to go start bleeding everything, and there was no pedal feel, could not build pressure, and it became apparent that was because there was air still in the master cylinder. So we stopped there, and we bought a Dorman brake master cylinder bleeder kit, which you can pretty much find anywhere on the internet. It's $20, and it's still plastic fittings, but they're threaded fittings with hose barbs on one end so you can connect your tubes. They were much longer tubes. This Reservoir didn't work with anything that came with the original bleeder kit. So we left it in the car, hooked that up, and then re-bled the master, sort of bench bled the master in car, and we got a lot of air out at that.
Yeah.
We did it for about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, and eventually it was just clear fluid, so we felt confident that we had done it. Then we reconnected the lines, rebled every corner manually, and then also did like 4 or 5 ABS service bleed procedures through the Forescan app that we have. We just followed the instructions on that. We don't know.
Yeah.
This is literally just come down off the lift, torqued all the nuts, wheel nuts, and we're about to try it. We got to bed the pads, but in the meantime, we're going to feel what's going on with this, and cautiously optimistic. I think I've said that on every video.
Yeah. That's like a theme for us. So
Yeah. There's a lot of talking, I just realized.
yeah, so I think you guys have seen that, like, this is part of an overall larger project to try to fix the brakes in the car in general based on what happened at event 1. We did a lot at once here. Probably in hindsight actually no, I don't think so. I think we kept finding things that just needed to be replaced, like Dan said. Like the master cylinder couldn't get out, so with the brake booster was rusted to the bottom, so.
Yeah, what I would like to clarify a little bit is the problems we had on event 1 were rear brake problems, and we resolved that right away with what you saw in our last video with the less aggressive pad. What we were dealing with up here is dirty brake fluid after one event, maybe 1.5 events really. It was like dark when we would come in and rebleed, and it was dark. And we also had really spongy pedal, which we know is kind of the way that this generation of Mustang works. And we were getting a lot of flex in the firewall. And that is one thing that we still have not addressed, is that I need to build a support plate that sort of mounts to this strut tower here and then just has a bolt that touches on the front of the master cylinder so that can't dip down anymore when we press on the brakes. And I think that will actually help a lot with our pedal feel, but we're just we ran out of time to deal with that in this before this event. So yeah, so it wasn't really front brake problems other than that we probably needed to rebuild the calipers that we have with the seals. But we, while we were looking at options, we discovered that this would fit on the car, and we both really wanted to make that happen. And the results of that will be coming up shortly.
Yeah, so we're gonna go bed them real quick. So we have G-Lock R6 pads. We'll go do the normal bed procedure that we've done for the other pads we throw in the car, and then we'll go take it to Mexico real quick, test this at high speeds and turns, and see how the car feels. And fingers crossed, we're confident for tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the game plan.
Okay, so we'll see you out there in a second.
I like it.
You heard it here first, folks. All right, so bedding process done. Dan, thoughts?
They're good. I'm pleased.
Yeah.
Got a little smoke here. Probably should get back in and maybe do a cool down lap.
So is that common for bedding procedures?
Yeah, I mean, you want to get heat in
Yeah.
them, right? And then you're trying to transfer some of that pad material to the disc. So that's what's happening here.
All right, guys. I think that is a successful wrap on what ended up being a tedious project, like most of our projects. So we're gonna do a cool down lap, get these brakes a little cool down, and go back home and load up from the trailer and get ready for tomorrow. But if you guys stuck around for this video, as always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and Dan is slowly creeping away. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.